Coming up, the Viltrumites are coming. Join us as we dissect the first 4 episodes of Invincible, Season 4. Stay tuned.
Hey, did you guys request an assist from Invincible?
No.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And we are your hosts, Arturo, Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. Before we get started, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, that bell, and that thumbs up. That way you know when all these videos are dropping. Tex, how you doing today? What's going on?
Man. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. We've Invincible Season 4, man. Shout outs to Invincible, shout outs to Prime, shout outs to that production team for being able to keep up this yearly schedule, which is already for an animated show is already super impressive. It's the same thing we're going to say for X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man when we get those later in the year. But for Invincible, it's even more impressive because these are also beefy episodes. These are 45, 50-minute honkers over here. And so it's just impressive that they're shout out to the team. I hope I hope it's not Super Crunch or however they're doing it, but they're pulling it off. It's been paying off so far. And with Season 4, we're right back into it. Mark is still we're still in the Blue Suit saga, which was a huge deal in the comics because we'll get into the why of it a little bit later, but Mark, everything's still happening after fighting Conquest at the end of Season 3 and Cecil keeping Conquest alive. We've got the fallout of that, and now it's Nolan and Alan going through and finding all these weapons to use against the Viltrumites in a final war. And we've got stuff happening on Earth still, of course. You got the Sequids coming back. And it's been wild, Arturo. So let's get started here. So the first 4 episodes, the Season 4 is going to be 8 episodes long, and so we're talking about the halfway point here. And how are you feeling about it so far, Arturo? What are you thinking?
Man, just as you were saying, it has been an action-packed 4 episodes, and we just started, and it's just going to escalate to a scale that I can't even comprehend. I know Tex has read these comic books. I read the first several arcs. So the first season of Invincible, I read through comics. Everything else has been quite the surprise. And I cannot wait to see what happens in the rest of this season. Because as you said, right off the bat, we get this crazy Sequid invasion out of nowhere. They're back, those mind-controlling brain squid things. And they're this close to really being this crazy threat, man. And with that comes this crazy core canon event that happens to Mark when he has to take care of business. These Sequids were gonna break down this force field, and Mark had to take action. And the only thing left to do in that moment was to punch a hole in this guy's face. And that's just one of the many things that Mark is going through in this season. And like I said earlier, it's only the first 4 episodes. So Tex, I am very excited to see where else this goes. And I know that you have a lot of nice little Easter eggs and tidbits for us along the way here in this conversation. So I cannot wait to get to that, man.
Yeah, it's always tough watching Invincible as a comics fan. Now I finally get it. I used to always kind of you kind of joke about this before with comic book movies, or and nerds are oh, it's not faithful to the comics or whatever. It's at the end of the day, is it a good movie? Yeah, who cares then, right? But with Invincible the show, I am actually super aware of the comics run, and the adaptation is also produced by Robert Kirkman, the writer of that original comic. And with all that being said, these things are straight up directly adapting the stories in the comics. So it's kind of yes, there are changes here and there, but kind of one for one. It's straight up things happen in Invincible, and they kind of happen in the same timeline in the comics too. And it's been interesting to see play out in the show, because the show it changes stuff in a good way, in terms of what it changes to characterizations and stuff. For example, this season has a scene where Mark is talking to Eve's dad, and he's like, "Yo, you're putting Eve in danger," which he is, right? Like he points out the fact that like Eve nearly died, or she did die, like at Conquest's hands, but only survived because she rebooted, and like and because of that, something weird's going on with her powers, and we'll get into all that stuff. But her dad was pointing out, hey, like you're putting her in danger. But because it kind of made it seem like, oh, this guy's the worst, but he's right, and you're like, oh, it sucks that he's the one that has to tell this to Mark. But in the comics, Arturo, it's way worse. Like it's not even like the same conversation. Like Mark, like Eve's dad, it's okay. This is like, it's super chauvinistic, it's super ugly, and it's super like 2000s too in terms
Oh
of
wow.
yeah, like he basically like he like talks about like Eve, like her body, and it gets real like it's yes. I don't want to get into it too much here, but
That's
like
awkward. Yeah.
yes. And so like when Mark's like kind of zoned out in the show after talking with him, it's the same in the comic, but in the comic it hits you harder because he's just like, Mark's like, yo, I can't believe I heard all of that. Like
Yeah, because Eve's dad is already like, a POS. So
yeah, like he's a real
I
scumbag.
can't even
Like
imagine how bad it is in the comic books. My goodness.
yeah, like he's way scummier. Like they cleaned it up. But this is what I'm saying. Like these are all changes that have been for the better. And it's the same thing for like the time traveling aliens, right? Like we've seen them before and now they're coming back, and they're way more advanced this time around. And that's a whole other thing in the comics too. But in the comics they kind of show up a little bit more. So it's like they're kind of like more annoying because they do
That's right.
like they
There's
do
a
a
whole
few more
alien
attempts.
invasion in like episode
Yes.
1 or something.
Yes, like they kind of do multiple attempts, and and that's kind of like we also get that episode with Titan and the dragon, and so for the first 3 episodes you're like, oh, okay, this is new status quo stuff, right? It's like, okay, we're getting reintroduced to the show, we're getting reintroduced to Mark, but then it's also kind of like, oh, well, he's kind of having like random fights every week, and random characters are still kind of popping up here and there, and their stories are continuing, and it's because it's adapting the comics. Like this is literally like because you know how comics are, Arturo,
It's like we say here on the Morgue all the time, right? When you go into a comic shop, there's tons of characters in these things,
yes,
tons of different kinds of arcs, different kinds of editions of the same superhero,
yes,
So yes, we're gonna get a ton of that, but I think this show, since its inception years ago, it does a very good job of introducing these new conflicts and new characters to
yes,
the person who has no clue what the hell's going on, like myself. And I've been able to follow along with these stories, and I feel that they are just so well done. Even this 4th episode of this season, it's a big filler episode where
right.
He gets summoned into hell, by Damien Darkblood, and he's pretty much there to help them regain control of their realm. And it is a very filler episode, and you can tell off the bat it's so filler, but the character still, I was pretty engaged. I'm like, hey, listen, I know this has zero to do with the main storyline right now, but this is pretty fun. This is pretty fun. I had a good time getting introduced to Volcanica and the Dark Blood clan, and the version of Satan in hell that they have in Invincible, and I'm all for it. I'm totally down. It was actually pretty fun, especially when Satan got his powers back. You thought he'd be this big bad, beast, and it's just he got more comical, which is hilarious. But it goes back to my point that there's these ancillary characters that have no real weight in this main story. Yes,
Yeah.
they prove a threat in this universe, but in the story that we have going here, where the Viltrumites are coming to Earth for this war, it has zero to do with it. But I did have fun with this episode, and it does lead to something all the way at the end, which I guess you can call the payoff of the episode. But it is unfortunately a bit of a drag in comparison to what we saw in the first 3 episodes of this season.
Yeah, because like when you look at the cliffhangers from like episode 3, right, where so big, once again, big spoilers, you're not caught up with Invincible season 4. We're talking like, we've already said a lot of details here, but here's the big one. Like, so Eve is pregnant, which was like a huge reveal where it's like, oh, so that's why her powers are going all haywire.
I knew it.
And yeah, and so like episode 4, she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on and what to do. And you follow up that cliffhanger with an episode where Mark gets dragged to hell, and you're like, all right, that's what Arturo was saying. Like, it totally feels like fluff. And like, while it's cool for the world building, right? Like, you get a lot of world building stuff. Shout outs to Satan, which it's rough having that on audio, but I have to say it. Bruce
I love
Campbell, he's voiced by
Love
Bruce
it.
Campbell.
That's a
and
drop.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell, shout outs to Bruce Campbell. I hope he recently also revealed that he's dealing with cancer, and wish the best for him. Like, but it's stuff like, like you see it, like you just get him for an episode in this show and you're like, oh, okay, this is why he's the king, right? Like, but yes, like, it's funny that you say that it feels like fluff. It's because it is. Like, it literally, this stuff didn't happen in the comics. This entire hell storyline never happened. Like,
Wild.
when Damien was like banished to hell by Cecil in season 1, that was literally like his final appearance in the series. Like, he was just kind of like, that's how it wrote him off. So I guess like this was Kirkman's way of kind of like closing the loop on that after all these years. So Volcanica, though, she's in the comics, and once again, she's also one, like you said, Arturo, where it's like you constantly get stuff happening to Mark all these time. And like, I saw people complaining like, oh, he's fighting the same villains again in the first 3 episodes, but that's kind of Invincible. Like, the whole thing of the show is like talking about superheroes, and like the whole show is like, oh, if he doesn't kill them, they come back. And that's why we see these same characters, these same villains come back all the time, except with like different twists and powers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because
like Tex, like it's the same thing. In I can have a deeper conversation on a different show for this, but like you can talk about Batman doing that, right? Like, you know how many times in the Batman movies and the animated movies we see that Batman doesn't kill, and because he doesn't kill and his moral stance on that, a lot of times these people come back. And this is exactly what Mark is going through right now. But now he is kind of seeing the light in a way. It's like, hey, like there's a balance that has to be struck here. And actually, this episode 4, Damien actually helps him through that a little bit. He helps him understand. It's like, hey, we have to do certain things in order to do good and to save people. In hell, they have to torture what they call this vile species in order to keep them from invading, the surface and killing everyone and destroying the world. So they have to do bad, which is, their torture, in order to stop these guys. So Mark is going through this thing where he's just completely in a bad state, as I said earlier in the show, where he punched a hole through a guy's face in order to stop this Sequid invasion, which was a very necessary thing, because if you guys watched that episode, Bulletproof was not going to make it on time in order to get this bracelet which shocks these Sequids off. Like, it wasn't going to get there on time. So Mark had to take a stance, and it's been killing him. But this again goes to show how this show is so well written that it's such a great character development to show Mark that, hey, you are not your father. Because the entire time in the last 4 seasons, Mark has been concerned and worried that he was going to turn out like Omni-Man, like his father Nolan. And this was proof that, hey, you are not your father. Damien told him so. Art, the guy who makes his costumes, had a good sit down with him, told him the same thing. And it was a big revelation for Mark. And even though this 4th episode was a little fluffy, it did serve a purpose to kind of get Mark through this bridge into the next stage of this show.
It got the blue suit off of him. So it's like, okay, like it's the end of the blue suit saga. And like it was, I do like, once again, this is comics, blah blah blah, but I have to say it, right? It was kind of a bigger deal in the comics because he was also written more aggressively during this era, right? So like so like let's say a good example, when like Powerplex was like yelling at him in the last season, he was like, he's like, oh, you should have killed me, and Mark's like, maybe. He'd whisper stuff under his breath of like, maybe my dad was right. Like, it was kind of one of those things. He was a little more emo, a little more aggressive, and so the show kind of like balances that out. Like, and you even have Cecil in this one being like, yeah, I would have done the same thing, to like kind of take that weight off of them. But yes, you're right, Arturo, in that while this fourth episode was a little fluffy, it did the emotional labor of like, okay, let's get Mark back on his feet, because we have the next big thing to talk about, the kind of final cap on the episode of Nolan officially returning to Earth and recruiting Mark for the Viltrumite War. Like the Viltrumite War is like, that's another big one. It's another big event that, like, if there's some, I can't, like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. But
I cannot wait to see what happens, man. And we spoke about, if you guys go back to our archives when the trailer first dropped, we spoke about Thrag and how he's if I thought Conquest was this major badass in last season, Texco's like, you haven't seen nothing yet, dude. So I cannot wait to see what happens with Thrag. And like I said, like, I'm glad we're done with this emo version of Mark, and he's back into the blue and yellow suit, which was iconic. It gave me goosebumps when he picked that up. And I was like, yes, that's the way to go. That's a good superhero moment. But I wish, I do kind of wish they did amp it up a little bit, like you mentioned, because I think it would have made a little bit more of an impact when his emotions were so down in the dumps and he was so aggressive. It reminds me of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in No Way Home, where he doesn't pull his punches, you know? And I think that would have been a positive if they would have shown a little bit more aggression and everything. But I think, all that said, I think it was accomplished in these first 3 episodes, where we see him kind of go a little overboard, where even Oliver has to be like, hey, chill. And then because Oliver he's a hothead. Oliver was the one, I'm gonna go out there and just punch a wall, you know what I mean? But like, even he was surprised as to the extent of Mark's anger during that that situation, where he had to kind of pull him away from the guy before he killed him.
And counter to that, you have like the Nolan storyline of like he and Alan are like putting the stuff together to fight the Viltrumites, and through his own thing, we're learning more about how he ticks as a person. And like the whole like origin story that was also not in the comics, which was like super appreciated, because like it was awesome, right? Of like seeing like, it is funny because then you get Seth Rogen as Alan afterwards going, are you really making me feel sorry for like a genocidal guy? And it's like, because we were all kind of literally thinking the same thing, right? Of like, like, we're really feeling bad for him right now. But it's kind of like this whole thing of like, no, like, you really see how deeply embedded it is in Nolan, right? Of like this Viltrumite culture, to the point where like, he's putting together the stuff to defeat his people, to wipe out his people. But he's also like, like, I don't want to wipe out my people. And it's like, it's great that he gets to say it, and we get to see all that development. We find out that, Thaddeus like invented the Scourge virus, that wiped him out. So we got to see what's going on with that. That's that. And then of course, like you said, Arturo, we get introduced to Thrag. Grand Regent Thrag is like, he gets introduced, and he's like, it kind of shows you immediatally who's boss, because Conquest bows to him, right? And you're like,
Conquest gets bitch slapped by the other dude with the monocle.
Like,
which was like, whoa, hold on. So the hierarchy of the of the Viltrumites is wild, man.
So it kind of like immediately puts you on that kind of like thinking, right? Of like, if Mark had so much trouble with this guy who's getting punked out by these other guys, you're like, and so that's why when it finally gets into the war itself, like, it's gonna be awesome. Like I have all the faith in the show that, like, with these first 4 episodes, like I'm curious to see where this season's going to end. I have a couple of thoughts about it. We'll talk about it when the season ends. We'll see if that lines up or not. But like, like, I have all the faith in the world that this show's gonna pull it off. I think it's kind of earned that at this point, of like, because we have so much already with the cliffhanger of Nolan recruiting Mark, right, and heading back to Earth. You're like, that's a reunion that we got to see play out. We're gonna see his reunion with Debbie, like his wife, who gets like a ton more development in the show versus the comics. Another great change of like the whole thing with Paul, he was only in like 2 issues because he was just kind of like a dude she dates for like just to like try and like get back out there, but it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but like, yeah, like he's becoming like he's a fully fleshed out person. He's like, yo, like he seems like a cool dude, right? Like they're writing him to be like,
he really does. But again, like it's a testament to the writing team. And the creators of the show. Kirkman does a great job of translating this comic book into a TV show, which not all comic books can be adapted panel for panel. So I think they are doing a great job of substituting certain things for other things here. And Tex has been a great guide to that because I have no clue why they wouldn't put that Viltrumite origin in there, because that is like, yo, that shows so much. I mean, dude, like his mom like almost killed him. And then she called him weak and just left them, which is
because in the comics, like Nolan's just talking to Alan. That's all it is. Like it's literally like it's just dialogue boxes that all we get where he's like, or the Scourge is what did this and whatever. But like, we actually got to see it in the show, which was total improvement. Like this is all stuff where it's like, like you got a creator who's like looking at his old work and going, oh, well, I could have did this differently. And this is why like the show's kind of like improved. Like it's honestly the best version of this story. So like I have all faith in the world that there's like they're gonna pull it off for the rest of the season. We're 4 seasons in, right? It's kind of like you're in or you're out at this point.
yeah, that's it. And if you're not in, I don't know what you guys are doing, folks, because Invincible has been must-see TV for the longest time on Amazon. And again, they had a slight hiatus because of the writer's strike and all that happened several years ago, and it cut their season 2 in half. Which again, if you go back to our archive, we talk all about that and how the impact was just taken completely out of that season because of that split. But even that season ended incredibly. And then we have season 3, and now we're in season 4. So folks, just stay tuned for the next several weeks. We'll have episodes covering episodes 5 through 8 of Invincible. Stay tuned for that show. I cannot wait to see what happens. Tex, do we get some kind of conclusion here to anything? Like, or even better question, is there a season 5 greenlit? Do we know that yet?
Yes. Season 5 has been greenlit. And so that's the thing.
We don't have to end it just yet.
No, and Kirkman's already saying like it's probably going to release next year, like around like in the spring. Like if they can keep everything like as smoothly as possible, like like we'll be getting it next year. So like we're going like
perfect. I cannot wait.
Like he's given out an interview where he said like ideally his hope is to like tell the story within like 9 to 10 seasons would be like the whole thing, which would line up with like the kind of pacing it's got. So we're in it to win it, baby.
Listen, we here at the Morgue, we love Invincible, so we will take 10 seasons of this thing and then some. Because as long as they keep the quality the way they're doing, we will be there every single week. Thank you so much for joining us. This is The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And we are your hosts, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to you guys out there for listening and for watching. We have all these episodes on the YouTube archive and anywhere you get your podcast streams. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, like, subscribe, and share. We would highly appreciate all of that. A big shout out goes to Del Virus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And last but not least, do not forget, it is a scary, scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.